Welcome back, podcast fans. It's Dan here with Fun, a podcast where we take fun seriously. I just got a haircut, and I look great. I went in there, I was like, I go in there, and I'm like, I got a lot of hair up here, bro. Can you give me the Conan? And I always leave with the Jimmy Neutron, but it's great. I'm never not grateful for the volume. Thank you, Zach. You're the barber king. Nathan, how are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing fine. I'm hydrated and ready to go.
I have my hydration here.
Yeah, it's very important.
I have my hydration here.
There you go.
And look, there's an interesting sticker on mine. You see this?
Oh.
See this? This is a Madame Leota sticker I've got going on here, which leads me into an interesting conversation with an interesting guest. You saw the name of the podcast. You know what the episode's about. That's right, my foolish mortals. It's my brother in harm here with me again on the podcast platform, but this time with the producer with the patience of a saint. What's up, Dallin? I missed you, buddy.
Oh, Dan, I'm so happy to be back with my fellow mortals. And here on Fun, this is going to be...
Yes.
Viewers right now you're not even ready for what kind of spooky mischief we are going to be getting into this episode.
We're getting into some spooky mischief. And so here's the thing. I'm way too scatterbrained to make a podcast. And so Nathan was already like he was the Wizard of Oz. You know what I mean? He had like a giant mechanical face. And I was just like, hey, bro, can I use that microphone? Yeah. He's like, sure. You know what I mean? So Nathan has stepped in and like began to produce a podcast kingdom for me. And Foolish Mortals used to be like a labor of pain for my ADD and my executive dysfunction. And so now we have a producer. Now I have fun. And so Dallin is just going to become, the Haunted Mansion correspondent.
I'll materialize from time to time.
Right. And we'll have some foolish fun. You know what I mean? Some foolish. We're workshopping what we're going to call it. You know what I mean? You read the title of the episode. You know what we landed with, but this is where we're at right now.
I think the title turned out well. I don't know what it says,
I think
but
so
it
too.
looks good.
Yeah, it moves me. I'm truly moved. Hey, do you like my new name I called for you, Brother in Harm?
Brother in Harm is perfect. We're always out here up to no good.
Some WWE wrestler had to have used that
at
someone, but it came to me, and I was like, "That's true. That's a spooky way to introduce somebody." So. Dallin, the mansion, things are afoot since last we spoke.
Things have changed, and things are continuing to change.
There are rumors. There is danger. There is mystery.
There's peril, even.
Now,
peril.
Before we get into any of this peril, I think it's very important that we have some listeners that have no idea what Foolish Mortals is, and what could be.
That's great.
Impossible.
That's true.
Why don't we talk a little bit?
Dallin's like, truly, you do not understand.
Why don't we take a moment and just have you two explain, I guess, your love of the mansions and
Dallin,
why you sort of got into it.
Yeah, you tell people what Foolish Mortals is.
So, Foolish Mortals came about by me and Dan constantly texting each other all the time about this in the Haunted Mansion, or that in the Haunted Mansion, or what could be happening in the Haunted Mansion, or this effect in the Haunted Mansion that may or may not be a thing. And so we were like, why are we just talking about this between the two of us? Why not just talk about this in front of an audience, virtually, of course? And so Foolish Mortals sort of spawned from our mutual love of the mansion, and how at the time when we were recording it was leading up to the movie. There was a bunch of stuff changing inside the mansion. It was closed to Disneyland for a while. They did this whole new portrait thing. Everything was going on, and now we're entering sort of the second age of that, where it's closed. Well, it was closed to Disneyland for a while, and there's some rumors circulating.
Yeah, that's so interesting. That's true. We did start Foolish Mortals in the last big era of mansion change and growth, and now we're in a new era of that. Right. So that's so interesting. That's so true. And it's so much. I had a lot of fun doing Foolish Mortals. I have a lot of fun doing Foolish Mortals. And so now we can do them more consistently for you guys and bring you Haunted Mansion news in our way, because I think a lot of people they came into Foolish Mortals like, oh great, very serious. Great, a podcast that is Dallin's channel again as a podcast again.
Right. It's just what did you want
Dallin? What did you want Dallin and I to do? Like, just come on just say our scripts again? No, we were gonna like talk and riff about mansion stuff. It wasn't going to be like, we weren't making high art. No. Like you on our main channels, we were being silly mortals.
Our channels are high art. I'm glad you threw that in there.
Oh, for sure. The way you green screen is like the way Picasso painted. You guys hearing the thunder in the background? Is that picking up?
I thought perfect. Legitimately you were doing that on purpose. I thought that was a sound effect that you had hit.
You know who's doing that?
Jesus Christ, our Lord and Savior.
Haunted Mansion. Canonical Haunted Mansion character and my Lord and Savior Jesus Christ.
He's in there.
You have to. He's in there, baby. He's in there. He's one of the 99.
Him and the fairy godmothers, as Dan and I have talked about, how fairy godmothers come down from the sky as well.
Okay, wait. We haven't even settled. This Dallin is the perfect one, actually, to settle. This Dallin. Okay. Close your eyes for a second.
Eyes closed.
Close your eyes. This is a teaser for future episodes, guys.
Raise your hand if you accept him. No one look.
That's fine. No,
we all had to do that. That's so funny. I did that. They had to do that too because accepting Jesus was so shameful because it was a religion of shame.
Yeah.
Okay. Close your eyes.
Eyes closed.
Dallas.
Yes.
You're in a place. You're in a magical place with a pumpkin.
Okay.
A fairy godmother arrives to the area. How is she doing so in your eye? When fairy godmother arrives, what's happening? What do you see?
I'm seeing a tiny little poof of pixie dust and then slowly materializing behind the poof of pixie dust.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about, bro, because Nathan here, and you'll all hear in a future episode, you're all about to time travel because you're going to hear this before.
I'm going to have to put these chronologically in the correct order.
All right, well, I'm sorry, I solidified it. If that's the case, then here's what that pencil sharpener looks like that I've been talking about for a while. It's awesome. Welcome, viewers. I hope you're having a fun time with this journey. Nathan over here, we talked to Dapper Danielle, a content creator I'm sure you're familiar with, Dallas. Past fairy godmother in training, honorably discharged, now a fairy godmother content creator. Yeah. And Nathan suggested that fairy godmothers ascend from the heaven like Jesus Christ. You know what I mean? They like come down and they like slowly like a fairy godmother just ascend and help you. And I was like, nah, bro. Fairy godmother poofs like Batman. She poofs like Batman. Yeah. She does not fly like Jesus.
I want to be clear about something. I just offhandedly said this. I have no passion for it. I have no like conviction towards it. But Dan is.
Do you see the name of our guest? Listen, you don't act like saying something offhandedly is like something. How dare you? That's our guest. Our guest is offhand. All right, that's where he makes his bread and butt. You know.
No, I get it. You know what? They can. You know what? I was confused because. It's fairies that come down from the sky, as we know.
Yeah. Sleeping Beauty's fairies, they fly, bro. They got wings. Yeah. They are not related to the fairy godmother.
I thought fairies lived in like the woods.
Yeah, she was a fairy.
Right.
Yeah.
But no, yeah.
Which comes from the Maleficent movie, which I didn't know.
I try to block those movies out. I think they're horrible, disrespectful to the source material. Doesn't matter.
Well, don't worry.
That's an offhand fact.
It's not like we're going to talk about other movies today that are horrible and disrespectful to the legacies of anything. So it's fine.
I'm so excited.
Okay. Let's celebrate because it's Christmas in July.
Right.
A rare thing that's happened.
I'm so excited for Christmas.
It's already August.
It's
August.
Well, the thing opened in July. Right. All right, we had a few days of Christmas in July. Mm-hmm. I think we have a picture of like the front gates all boarded up still.
We do,
and it's a mess over there. Dallin, what's the status of the outside of the mansion?
The outside of the mansion right now is you can walk up to the front door, and that's about it. Everything.
Wow.
Everything. You have the entrance gates, which you can see on your screen right now. Those were finished the day before Haunted Mansion Holiday opened. Those brick columns were going up, like still being built 2-3 days before. So those got finished just in time, and they put it all together. Everything you see is basically all the space they have to line people up for that queue. Everything behind the old extended queue for the Haunted Mansion is completely walled off, completely dirt right now.
Wow. And the plan, they put out some concept art, but there's like a new garden. It looks like a shack from Arendelle, if you ask me. That's being placed into this.
It definitely gives off a Frozen-y vibe, yeah.
It does give off a Frozen-y vibe. But because there's a lack of queue, what are they doing?
Dan, they are using a virtual queue for the Haunted Mansion in the Omnimover-style dark ride with some of the highest capacity in the park. Now, don't get me wrong. I think it's fine. As long as the Haunted Mansion's open, I'm getting in that virtual queue. I don't care. It's the Haunted Mansion.
Right.
But it's kind of weird to me because I've heard that as the night will wear on into, after the fireworks, after Phantasmic, into like the 10, 11,
it's
12
empty,
p.m.,
isn't it?
they open it up for standby, so you can just kind of walk in.
Great. Yeah. I figured as much because I was about to say at a certain point, like, what do you do? Like, you have to give annual pass holders the ability to re-enter.
Right.
Like, you have to because that ride just eats people.
I'm not riding Haunted Mansion
mean?
Holiday once on my trip. Are you kidding me?
Right, exactly. Yeah. Oh, I'm getting on that. And so funny to me that people like are so poo-poo on it. Like,
it is strange,
come on, guys. How many times have you rode this ride that never changes? A thing that happens to like every other experience you have here. Here's a lick of variety.
Right.
Here's like a lick of change. Everything's still good. And in fact, this change preserves the thing you love. The fact that this, my God, how lucky would half of us be if the attractions, if like they switched it over to Maelstrom 3 months out of the year, just to be like, all right, we got to give it back to them.
Right.
We got to give them back to them. They sacrificed so much.
That would be crazy if they transitioned back to Maelstrom from like October through January.
It's pretty easy.
It's a secret plan.
It's pretty easy. You just take like their faces, their screen faces, and you put a polar bear on top, and you're good to go.
Yep. There's a Sven that easily turns into an oil rig. It all works.
Yeah.
It's
like the final scene of Runaway Railway where everything sort of just transforms and collapses in on itself, becomes Maelstrom.
That's the future of rides, baby. That's the future.
So they keep telling me. I do love the idea. You've got in my head now that we should just have virtual queue for all rides and no queues anywhere, and a park could be basically
chaos.
An acre.
Park could be chaos, baby.
The park could be chaos.
That'd be insane.
At any given time, how much do you think, like a percentage of guests, how many do you think are in a queue at one time? Probably 60, 70%. Right?
I would go 75 almost. Are you counting food
no, I would
queues?
say 40%.
You think 40? Okay.
Well, are you counting food queues is my question.
I think any queue, would be a fair
Any
thing.
queue. Any queue.
Waiting in line at the store, food, or for
does
a
it
ride.
count twice? Does it count twice if it's
a better
barbecue?
thing would say how much percent of the day is spent queuing. How much percent of a person's day is spent queuing?
Sure.
Because I think that there's a lot of movement in the parks, bro. You are like, some people are in and out of queues, but queues eat up a lot of your time throughout the day. But I don't think people are in. Unless you're us, but yeah, you guys are on the streets of these. Like, there's a lot of people moving.
Yeah,
still.
Well, not anymore at Disneyland, but there are people moving.
We did this fact in the Olympics episode, but you'd have to run It's a Small World for 3 hours to get all of the American Olympians through it at capacity. So, think about like that big boat of all the Americans you just saw at the Olympics. Now think about that, like, my God, times 7 to 8 in the parks at any given time.
That's
there's a lot of people on rides, but I think there's a lot of people moving more.
Sure, yeah. Because you have walk around space, you have ride vehicle capacity, and then you have queue capacity. You got to kind of mix that up.
You got eat capacity, you got poop capacity, you got pee capacity.
Mm-hmm. That's really important, the pee capacity. A lot of Imagineers don't take this into account.
That's how the DeLorean time travels, I think, with the pee capacity.
Yeah, and as we know, pee capacity is different depending if it's a women's restroom or a men's restroom. So
that's true.
Right.
Variant and pee capacity comes into play.
I got to work an Omnimover into those things somehow.
Head on over to dispee.com to get all your Disney pee facts. I really should do something with that domain. If someone wants to, I have it. I own it. I have a fake Squarespace website there. If anyone actually makes websites and wants to like make a silly Dispee and has an idea, please.
Nice.
Call my Yellow Shoes, if you know what I mean.
Yellow Shoes.
But with a Christmas in July, doth bring sweet gingerbreads to the mansion.
So
let's talk about, I think, probably one of the coolest gingerbread houses we've had in a minute in terms of gimmicks and like animatronics and interactivity. What is it called? Has a name?
I have no idea, because I remember last year's was Von Ginger with the Mausoleum Ghost. This year it looks like I'm going to call him Franken Ginger. I feel
that's
like
what I had written down too. The Franken Ginger.
Franken Ginger.
Yeah, but he has like heads that change. He's not always Frankenstein, but in the promo images, they like kind of like really land on that. But it's cool because it looks like he has like rubberized gingerbread arms. Like he's a little bit of an animatronic, which I like a lot. And also, I love the doctor character of the movies and like the idea of like experimenting and swapping body parts. It's like a gingerbread Sally in a way, and he's like switching heads. And I love that. It's such a great in-world like gingerbread joke.
Amazing. And I'm so excited to smell the smell when I get in there, that gingerbread smell. And I think it's not going to be long before we have our first like fully animatronic gingerbread house, if you know what I mean. Like this is like articulated. We're going to have something that's like a complete, like, I don't know about figure, but like a house that would like move, disassemble itself, come back together, you know, do some crazy stuff.
They've really done some really interesting stuff.
Well, when 65% of the year is this, I would agree. There's a good reason to.
Don't remind me.
A good reason to invest in this one, right? But hey, you know, I guess enough people hate it that it's like, hey, if we make it Christmas long enough, the capacity will never suffer. All right, there's enough people that hate this thing,
which is fair. You know, I've seen a lot of people like mad and only seeing like we get Haunted Mansion Holiday in July. It's encroaching upon the regular year, but I get why they're doing it. I understand.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I would love a restaurant that sees a transition at the same time as the Haunted Mansion overlay, where like like the ghosts that like get kicked out have to go move to. You know what I mean? And so like you have like the singing bus there. You do something interesting. Be like, yeah, we're here leasing for a couple months. You know, really play with it.
Right.
I think that that part of the park would be packed with locals during the Christmas season.
For sure.
If they really like leaned in and like they're doing the bar on the Wish. Just build that bar on the other side of the park in Tomorrowland. Future Ghost, Space Ghost. There you go. You probably own it now. You probably own it.
It's probably,
no, they don't own Turner.
They
don't own Turner.
They have done a Space Ghost in the past, but just not the Space Ghost.
Not the Space Ghost, right. Not a lot of space travel in Haunted Mansion.
Not a ton, no.
Not a ton. And, of all the updates, it would be hilarious to see, like... No, maybe it wouldn't be hilarious. I'm just going to stop right there because...
Hyperspace Mansion.
It would be... No, I think that while it's interesting that the Gen A's or the Gen Z's or whatnot think that, 9/11 is funny...
We've talked about 9/11 on this podcast.
Why does this keep coming up?
I'm just trying to say that I don't think the Challenger disaster has even remotely touched humor for any generation yet still. People are too afraid of spaceships exploding. You know what I mean? Like, I'm just saying, in terms of morose, like,
right.
I'm telling you, dude,
humor.
Gen Z is just like, ha ha ha,
the Challenger, how
Rudy
hilarious.
Giuliani or something. Like, Rudy Giuliani made 9/11 a weird joke. Like, that guy, like, his downfall, like, twisted it for a lot of people. It's weird, dude.
I tell you.
Dallin will tell you.
Tell you all about it.
There's just one. There's one pathway in your skull, in your brain, and it's just 9/11 pilled at this point because
it's never been this way. I
don't
don't know
what
what's happening to me.
It's like a Winter Soldier activation phrase.
I'm a white man with a podcast now. I can't stop talking about 9/11.
All I know is that Ghost hosts can't melt steel beams. That's all I know.
No, Ghost hosts can't. Right? It's science.
Yeah.
That's science. That's science.
I mean, speaking of, we could talk about the Ghost host if you'd like.
Tell me, what ghost? Where are you with the Ghost host? Tell me.
So the Ghost host, we're into rumor territory now, if that's all right. We'll dip our toes in the rumor pool here.
Baby, the next thing on the list is Hangman rumors.
Perfect.
So let's do it. Rumor me up, butter me up, buttercup.
We got a couple rumors here. I've made a video on this in the past couple of weeks, I think. But long story short, Disney, there's been an internal debate on whether or not to remove the hanging ghost host corpse from the Disneyland the Disneyland Haunted Mansion stretching room.
Yeah, and I think that is something that I think about every time I'm in the park, if I'm being honest.
You think about it?
Like, we think of all the changes they've made, including the cultural appropriation changes to Jungle Cruise, you know what I mean? The sexual stuff with Pirates of the Caribbean, flipping it like literally in phases. And I'm sure that they're not even done in some ways, you know, like it's the Pirates, is one of those things that it's astonishing to me that, in any way, shape or form, something as such a sensitive freaking subject is front facing it's not scary.
Right.
It's not funny. It's not really, and you can't even see it half the time, if I'm being honest.
So,
and
is the idea here that if they take it away, he'll just say the line, and then the assumption is that he'll push you out of a window or something, and the clunk now suggests he's going to murder you? Like, his way is murder? Like, what's the...
Perhaps. No, you're totally right. Part of the rumor was that they'd be replacing it with a bat effect of just bats flying overhead through the rafters.
That's cool.
It could be a screen. It could be physical. I think it'd be way cooler if it was physical. But I think this rumor is actually debunked. I think he's staying. I think he's staying because I've heard from people who may have some people on the inside that it was talked about. Ultimately decided he would stay. And if you go into the Haunted Mansion Holiday right now, I guess you can, at certain points, you can see through the screen up to the scrim, and he is still there. Even though
he's still, the hanging corpse is in the mansion pre-show. It's still in it.
Yeah.
It's not. It's still in it. Like that. They show it still. It's not like the Jack. It's still part of it. There's still the stained glass. Jack's there. He breaks, but then they light the top. Right. You can still see him. Like they do the scrim effect. Still, it happens.
So I think that the Hanging Man is safe. I'm going to talk about that actually in my video tomorrow, as we're recording this. Probably in the past as you're watching this, but
time travelers,
welcome, foolish time travelers. But yeah, I think he's safe. There are other rumors that are looking more and more to be true that we can talk about. But he hasn't moved, so I think he's good. But some other things, Dan, have moved.
Okay, what has moved? What's moved?
Dan, up in the attic. And Nathan, up in the attic.
Thank you for the inclusion. I appreciate it.
We're all foolish mortals. Everyone here.
Hey, I'm just saying, you guys needed a third for some Hitch Hiking Ghosts. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, you're so right. Which one of us is which?
I'm the. I think we're lined up correctly, if I'm being honest. At least from where I'm recording.
Sure.
Well, that doesn't help at all. I don't know. I don't, because I think we all have different recording.
Well, I'm definitely Phineas.
Okay.
Phineas. Yep.
Right.
Is he middle?
Phineas is no, he's
far left-hand side. Yeah.
Okay. So Dolan will be far left.
And then there's Gus. Gus is the tall one.
Gus is the prisoner. He's the one with the beard.
Oh, Gus is the prisoner, and then
tall skeletal one.
Seamus. Ezra, there you go. My favorite Star Wars character.
Oh, it's me. It's me, a ghost here in the attic. Oh, don't you just Seamus in the attic.
Find me a doom buggy. Follow you home.
I've been watching too much Harry Potter, and there's that one Seamus. And he's like, "I believe you." When that part he's like, "What I'm telling you is, I believe you." My kids really love watching Scottish babies on YouTube.
Oh, yeah.
Because they're sassy toddlers, but with Scottish accents. And there's this one ginger kid. She's like, her dad's like, "Hey," and she's like, "What is that? What is that?" And so my kids all go around being like, "What is that?" Doing this. And so my mom, their grandmother hangs out with them. God bless her. And she's a great grandma. She wants to be cool. She wants to say the thing. So we're at Florida, and my mom starts being like, "What is it?" She's like, I'm like, "What?"
She's close. She's almost there.
And my mom is like, "Hey, what is it?" I'm like, "Well, what are you doing, Mom?" She's like, "The girls, they keep saying, 'What is it?'" And I'm like, "Mom, they love this little Scottish baby. It's like, 'What is that?'" And it's just like, "Oh, what is it?
What is it?"
I love you, Mom. That'll probably become a clip on the Instagram. So, geez, I'm gonna get in trouble.
That's all good. Perfect.
Okay,
you have it pulled up right here.
I'm professional,
just like my pants.
Yep. Are you sure? I can't see right now. I'm taking your word for it, Dan.
Oh yeah, this pulled up. I'm not going gangster style with with the boxers.
Sure.
I'm going high and tight.
Tight. Belt and everything. So
the attic has changed.
So, I mean, the thing that I wish they kept, and I had hoped that they kept, remained. The Wax Candle Man is still in the attic scene, which is lovely, which I love. I love the Wax Candle Man.
Rolly, Professor Rolly. What's his name on the boat? Like, what's his to do? He has got a statue now.
Yeah, I gotta.
They're making Rolly is. I'm saying like on the ship, on the cruise ship, like they have a bus where Rolly is the candle man.
It's like Captain Roland or something like that. Like
Captain Roland, the candle man or something. So yeah, he's being his lore is being invested in heavy, and he's staying. He's only this big, and you can barely see the little guy.
He's small, but he's there, and they're investing into Candleman. They had him in the we call it Imagineering in the background.
Mm-hmm. Yep, a big
buy
one.
stock in Candleman right now. Buy into Candleman before he goes.
Get
big.
your portfolio stuffed with Candleman.
I tell you what, we're gonna say Jim Cramer style. Buy Candleman. Sell Jared Leto. And do we sell
the Hanging Man?
Do we sell Bride, Dolan?
Invest in Bride. That was a wonderful way to get us back on track, Nathan.
Invest in Bride. Yeah, thank you, Nathan. Yeah, thank you.
Because in previous years of Haunted Mansion Holiday, there has been a portrait of Jack and Zero standing where the bride usually stands on a nice little tripod easel sort of thing. It's beautiful, beautiful portrait. This year, it has moved to the other side of the attic, just right across, and where the bride normally stands is a sort of wall, a sort of construction barrier, maybe, with two new set pieces. As you can see, a Jack-in-the-Box with the jack-o'-lantern head, and a literal Jack-in-the-Box with Krusty the Clown on the bottom. And
we know the clown on the bottom is for the other one.
Who is that? Oh, from
it's the clown Inside Out.
Yes, yep.
Inside Out. Yeah, it's the clown from Inside Out. Two incredible, beautiful references. This might be one of my favorite pieces that Imagineering.
I agree.
For the longest time, I thought it was dead, but someone must have hit him with like one of those paddles, clear, and they got this going because I love this. This
not
is
the Haunted
cool.
Mansion, Dan. That's the opposite. For the Haunted Mansion stuff, they let him die, and then good stuff comes out. And
right.
I would say though that when I saw this and I saw the Krusty, I went, "Man, how did they get Universal's okay with that?" Because my brain is still like mushed in this idea that Simpsons is not a parks, especially. Like, I think this is the first. Is this the first instance of the Simpsons in a Disney park?
I think this is the first use of The Simpsons in a Disney park ever.
Wow. And we're witnessing it here.
In the best attraction. Way to go, Disney.
Right. In the best overlay, as some would say.
I would agree.
It's Disney's best attempt at an overlay for an attraction.
Yeah.
No?
Nope.
No?
I'll give you one guess as to what my favorite holiday overlay is.
Oh, Jingle Cruise?
Oh.
Try what? Well, you get one guess, Dan.
Oh, man. Is it the spooky Space Mountain?
My favorite holiday overlay is Living with the Land glimmering greenhouses during the holiday time. You ride that thing at night. It is insane. Glimmering greenhouses is the best holiday overlay. Haunted Mansion Holidays number 2.
See, what's so funny? Have you done Behind the Scenes?
I haven't, but I'm doing it in September because I have to as a Living with...
It's great.
Give me the date. I will come down. I will come down and do it with you in September.
Okay.
Legit. Give me some dates.
Done it?
I've done it, and it's incredible.
Yeah,
and since I've done it, we should do a podcast about it because I've got a lot of great info on it. But since doing that, I realized that it's just the workplace of a lot of interns that are agricultural interns doing busy work. And so to me, the holiday glimmering lights there are just like literally holiday decorations at an office.
Exactly.
So I don't consider it an overlay.
That's exactly the vibe it gives, and that's why I love it so much.
It's like Michael Scott decorated the Living with the Land.
You got some string lights. Yeah.
I mean, I'm always happy. I would also say there's another overlay at Living with the Land that happens now and then, which is when they add a human to the lab, and you go, "Oh, that's basically an overlay." Wow, what do you know? There's a person in there today.
It's not a real person. It's an animatronic, actually.
I would believe.
Well, how long? The thing is, like, how long though until we get like what I would love to see in that lab is like put an animatronic Baymax like that's inflated with a little Tadashi or like a little hero being like.
This is a great episode, perfect topic to talk about Living with the Land.
Totally is. You're talking to two of the foremost experts here, Nathan, on Living with the Land.
Can I give you my pitch for Living with the Land as an IP?
Pitch me. Okay. And is it a lazy river?
No,
okay, sold. I'll invest.
I'm really
right
passionate
now
about this idea.
Okay.
I want it to be called "It's Not Easy Being Green, Living with the Land with the Muppets." And the first scene you go in and you got an animatronic Kermit, and there's a bit of a story about, what it's like to be green and why it's hard. And
this
you go
good.
in and you have Muppet variations of the jungle animals right in that spot. And It's Not Easy Being Green is then the song that plays throughout. but it's like it changes depending on where you're at, and it's like a ba 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 ba, like it's a more like fun version of it.
Right.
And then you get to the prairie, and you can do silly stuff, and then you get to the barn, and that's where Dr. Teeth and his band lives. And they practice.
Yep,
right?
and they're growing questionable things. Like, what are they? Hey, what's
Don't ask.
what? Doc, what are these crops you're growing here? Hey, nothing, man.
That's not to ask.
Hey,
and then
whoa, look at this over here.
And then you go into Muppet Labs, right, where they're doing greenhouse work, and then you go into New Zealand's fish target practice room where the fish all are, because you can throw the fish around. And then and of course I should make it very clear, on rotating stuff like the rotating plants or whatever, you have like a beaker that's stuck and hanging upside down,
novelty things,
and then you get to
have a couple prop vegetation that are bizarre,
and then you get to you have Muppet. Who doesn't love Muppet vegetables? Right? Like, have a little thing about vegetables.
Yeah,
so you have
absolutely.
Muppet vegetables in that screened off area at the end with another Kermit, and they finish off the song. So, because it is really pretty timed.
Great.
So,
I say close Hall of Presidents and use all those parts to make this happen.
Sure.
But what I'm saying is that this is literally an office building, living with the land with a boat that runs through it. Nothing cool is ever going to happen to it. We get lucky that they put picnic blankets out with props on them for festivals.
I don't think OSHA would allow an animatronic to be put in.
Right, but literally it's like a scholarship program. Like, it's a thing that people do as like part of like getting a degree that then later, like, these kids are the future of GMOs, guys. So you got to let them work.
Implying that something cool doesn't happen every single time someone steps foot on that boat to ride Living with the Land. That's the best ride at Epcot.
Right.
It is a really good ride.
Someone apparently Living with the Landed on Tiana's, I just heard.
I did hear
and
that.
hopped off and tried to pick a pepper.
One of the plastic peppers,
One of the Louis, there's a pile of, the land should have a recreation of that Louis alligator gourd pile.
Right.
Like made out of real gourds, and
it just has a sign on it that says, "Please take one."
Yeah.
You just hop off, grab
Please
one.
only take
Please
one.
only take one gourd.
You can't, there are dangerous mites on your shoes and you can't get off the boat. They had to do like a lot of sanitation work after that woman did that.
I believe that 100%.
Because like the sand in that building hasn't been walked on by humans like since it was laid. It's all had protective, like you have to wear protective feet coverings, protective boots because like again, kids are in there getting their degrees. It's bananas. It's Disney World.
Actually science.
It's old Epcot.
It's truly old Epcot.
I love it.
And I think like you said, that Muppets overlay would be awesome, 3 months out of the year. But that first scene where you're going through that sort of forest, it's almost sort of swampy. You could perch Kermit on one of those tree roots,
easily
on one of
Kermit,
those trees, on one of those logs.
And then you switch out the garden grill above from Mickey, Chip and Dale, and Pluto, and you have those walk around Muppets.
You bring back
those
the
horrific creatures.
the walk around Muppets.
Oh, and of course, I should mention,
right.
Piggy is on the porch. Piggy is hanging out.
I was actually going to ask if it was Fozzie telling jokes.
I don't know
Doing
where
some
Fozzie
stand-up?
goes. I'm working on that.
Because when you're on the thing, when you're at the garden grill eating, there's like 15 minutes out of the hour you're listening to a dog bark.
True.
Like that's kind of how the rotations work. It's maddening. And so if you could, fully like lean into having like a Fozzie being like, walk, and then the house has like a little 2 windows, put Statler and Waldorf in them. You know what I mean?
Totally agree.
Give him only, it has to stay a little maddening, so give him like 3 jokes.
Only 3 jokes, right?
Yeah.
But you are allowed to throw your tomatoes from your salad.
Yeah, we agree.
Right, just take one.
Important part.
We agree. Swedish chef runs the restaurant, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, the menu is all in Swedish.
Yeah,
it's great.
You have to translate it. But we are talking about the Haunted Mansion at some point this episode, I think.
No. We're talking about whatever we please. This is what drove the people who wanted Haunted Mansion history, who wanted more of Dallin's channel as a podcast.
All we got to do is talk about the Disneyland People Mover, and we're there, essentially.
Right. We said in a previous episode that it'd be a great Run Disney event to run the track of
Run the Disneyland People Mover track? Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, yeah.
You'd have people tumbling all over that thing because it just goes like this all throughout Tomorrowland. It'd be crazy.
Falling off of it left
it's like
and right.
5 stories
The ultimate elimination event.
I dare you to make it to the end.
They just have cardboard boxes. Just try to land on one.
Where were we?
The bride.
There are rumors. The rumors. We gingerbreaded. We rumored about the hangman. We rumored about the bride. Something's coming.
Whoa, the rumor for the bride,
somebody's coming.
The rumor for the bride broke like before Haunted Mansion Holiday opened, and then Holiday opened, and that whole scene was sort of changed, and so that kind of just confirmed it in my head that we are
confirmed it's happening. 100%.
Probably by this time in 8 days we'll know. So
right. Yeah, it definitely feels like an easy D23 announcement.
It's a layup,
and
for sure.
Haunted Mansion's coming. Like D23 really feels like it's becoming like a recap. They like announce everything. Like they've made banger announcements over the past couple of months. Like what is the presentation? Not going to touch on anything that they just announced. No, it's going to be a big recap presentation of all the big things coming in a lot of way. We'll probably get 2 or 3. This isn't a D23 episode.
It is now.
It's.
No, you're so right.
Okay, what other rumors have circulated? Because there's one other big one about the Hitch Hiking Ghosts, right? What's happening, Dallin?
There's one other rumor about the Hitch Hiking Ghosts that I'm praying is not true. That would see.
I don't know, buddy. I don't know.
I mean, right now,
it doesn't look
right
good.
now it looks okay. I mean, but I guess it's just cheaper. Disney wants to replace. The rumor is that they are replacing the Hitch Hiking Ghosts at the end of Disneyland's mansion, who are physical props. I wouldn't really call them animatronics, maybe figures that are on the other side of the room that move along with you. They're physical things with the effect that's currently in use at Walt Disney World, where it's just a big long screen and the screen ghost will follow you around through the Doom Buggy. And it looks not so good every time I've been to Walt Disney World. But at Disneyland with the physical props.
Or Hatbox, Dan? Because
Hitchhiking.
Yeah, Hitchhiking.
Okay, I put a Hatbox.
There's still one more Disneyland.
Gang, if you're visualizing, here's a Hatbox ghost for no reason, just to appeal to you.
Same face sculpt as one of the Hitchhiking Ghosts, though. That's true.
True.
So you can
there you go.
Use that. But yeah, what do you think about this screen?
Do you have a video about if they're potentially related?
I don't think they are. I mean, I wouldn't
like multiverse
wise.
Ghosts.
I mean, there's other
that could be you know what? Honest to God, if Imagineering would have leaned in harder to the fact that it's Seamus's multiversal brother
back on the
who
Seamus.
Crossed over,
Seamus.
And that's why he's not
I'm gonna follow you home.
He's from a universe where the ghosts are unhappy, and he's crossed over into ours, and he is the unhappy spirit who is here clashing with his brother Seamus.
I'm Seamus's brother HEAMUS, and I'm Jared Leto actually, but
HEAMUS box.
HEAMUS box ghost. It's like BACHEUS.
HEAMUS B ghost.
Dan, what are your thoughts on a video at the end of the Haunted Mansion of the Hitchhiking Ghosts? Because you're an East Coaster. You're an East Coast boy.
Disneyland has long stood upon the backs of the great American fascination with animatronics and figures and immersion done well, done polished, and done in a way that's mystifying and not obvious. And the Haunted Mansion, for all it's worth, even with the lights on in some respect, continues to be a puzzle box for your mind. That even when you know how you do it, they do it, you still look at it and you're like, wow, I can't believe they did it. You know, instead the mystery and the wonder is still there all the time. And taking an end scene like that, taking the Wheezy out of the end of Slinky Dog Dash and replacing it with a big toy box, you know what I mean? That thing that all the billionaires are, it's like a big white box.
Oh, yeah.
And it looks like the millionaire standing there, you know what I mean? Or whatever, like they're doing it's like the Void or some ridiculous thing. Taking away the wonder of animatronics and replacing it with a Midway Main Street, Toy Story screen or something feels exhaustingly cheap. Feels exhaustingly insulting to the what it is, what it all is. You know what I mean? And unless they said to me, if we have to move because if there are animatronics here, we realize that it's right on a fault line and it's going to cause LA to snap off. If these guys, Ezra and Seamus, shaking around, are literally moving, it's like, oh my God, please, we don't need a Anne Heche volcano around here. We got to keep this thing buttoned up, But otherwise, I'm not going to really get a lot of we're living in this era of finance bros just being this is how things are going to go. And the people have there's no one creative in charge that loves anything anymore. Right. They just love being in charge, you know, and like Walt loved trains and Bob Gurr loved hot rods, you know what I mean? And like, and you know, and George Lucas loves, you know, like fast motorcycle, you know, like the love of the artist like persists in the thing. And Walt loved the models. He loved the physical. He loved the thing. He wanted to be a kaiju, this man, and he lived like a god on this tiny railroad, you know, and like that's why we loved him. That's why we like we're there. We dialed in, and so like we're in this really weird era of not just like ditching the practical, but also overcomplicating the physical in a way that like makes it now okay, great. Now this shit doesn't work.
Right.
Cool. Great. You know, I've ridden Tritianas twice. And I haven't said anything publicly because I'm tired of being called a racist for being a theme park creator that just criticizes his own niche. You know what I mean? People start being like, well, look at this big bearded white guy who's not happy about a black woman succeeding. I get it. I understand. The optics are bad sometimes. But to say that, like, I've been on the ride twice, the ride is fully misfired both times I've been on it. Like, in serious ways that, like, the animatronics just didn't. You know, like there were times, like the second time I rode it with my kids, waited all day, bought GD Plus, did the thing, yada, yada, yada. Mama Odie was just like, you know what I mean? And there was a scene where Tiana, she was just looking around, and she just kept looking right up and above and past us and never acknowledged us.
They're on a motion sensor for some reason instead of just being on a loop.
Yeah, there's no loop.
Yeah, because it's narrative, because it's specifically narrative, but it's this is not the podcast to talk about it, but it's the thinnest specific narrative. It's like the weirdest goddamn thing that I've ever seen done in a theme park ride, where it's like, oh, we gotta really overcomplicate the narrative in the simplest way possible so that we can have these things fire off, instead of it just being like, oh, let's just follow along on the adventures, which is what it is. Just always
which was the point. The concept of pirates was, I mean, I think pirates, we go back to pirates and the idea was you get in there when it's happening, right? So
you're in there when it's happening.
So let me tell you a little background in screenwriting. My MFA professor teach it. Okay, so here's the thing: you get into the idea about doing a scene in a movie is that you want to get in late and you want to leave early. Because all that extra stuff on both sides doesn't matter. We don't care if you come in the door. We don't care if we need to hear the thing that matters. And OG Pirates was able to go, and maybe the film variation with Sparrow in a sense because it was only looped, but that still kind of asked a narrative of you. The first one was very much like, it's just happening. They don't care you're there. Yeah. You are an observer, and you are making your way through this thing. It is a tonal experience. Then the Jack Sparrow one is more of a narrative experience because you kind of have to follow this loose plot.
But still, you can dial him out. You can dial him out for sure. And it's such a tonal experience still. I'm not
crapping on narrative experiences because, like, once I did Beauty and the Beast in Tokyo, I was like, I get it. Like, if and Frozen, like, if you can hit these triggers right and you can do it in the correct order, like, it's magnificent. But the problem is they didn't. Well, first of all, I would have told you not to take your children right away, but I get it because, like, it's going to take like a year and a half for them to get all the bugs out of this dang thing. Rise took forever, if anyone remembers, and that
was Bayou Adventure 1.2.1,
right? And because it's so digital, it literally is like updates now. It's like but the problem with that is like there's no easy B plot solutions or easy B mode solutions that sort of allow for that shift where you can kind of. All right, it's a vibe, right? If Tiana is now looking over top you and not paying attention to you, that is directly affecting your experience, opposed to if the ride never suggested that you mattered.
Yes. And the funny thing is that the plot without that very specific decision to make it direct to consumer instead of us just experience, like, it literally is just moving the meter like 3 degrees because it's all there. The band's playing, Tiana's vibing on a log, Mama Odie's doing magic, throwing magic left and right. Just like make it a loopable 6-minute thing that never stops. And like, you know, have Tiana be humming and whistling and joyful and being like, oh, you know, be like, if anyone who wants to, let's head on through the bayou and pick up a couple more musicians, you know, like instead of it being like, oh good, you're here, let's go to the bayou.
And you
it's
were
like,
talking about a ride. This is a great example here of a ride that was a looped narrative attraction, and is now trying to be something that it physically cannot do. There is a timing to the process of that, literally, of that ride's water flow, and you have to match what that can give you. And there's no, well, we're going to slow the water down here so you can really take this in the way you can do like trackless, you know, Rise of the Resistance, like take a moment more here. So, yeah.
Right. Which I think is, I don't think actually, honestly, any honest criticism can come out until the Disneyland version's open. Yeah. Because I would, like, if there was a way to put money down on this, I would, that the ride is entirely designed for the Disneyland version.
Absolutely.
100%. The narrative actually lands because you're like in a lot more lock gates in the Disneyland version. You're zipping through things super fast in the Disneyland version. So you have to make all these specific choices, where in the Disney World version, it's longer, it's more robust. It's, you know, it's a thicker boy, you know, it's an absolute unit. Yeah. So anyway, it's a hot mess.
We're getting all our river-based rides in today.
But Tiana stuff, but the Tiana ride is actually a really good example of Disney's overconfidence in animating CGI characters that they think match what animatronic looks like, because there's a really weird uncanny valley in the ride that it drives me insane that Tiana's animated in these screens like a CGI animatronic,
right?
Instead of them just being the cartoon. Yeah, that whole room, that whole scene.
I think I know what scene you're talking about.
Also, but Mama Odie is also the CGI version of her. And it's like, wait, you built these animatronics to look exactly like cartoons, and they are gorgeous. They look like cartoons. Now, why is it a CGI version? Like, you know, so in that mindset of what Disney's doing with this kind of stuff, I can totally see them being like, you know, it'd be a great idea. We just thought of this. Let's get rid of more robots and make CGI versions of them. Because then we never have to work on them. We only have to replace screens.
Yes.
And that,
never mind that it's going to look absolutely terrible in 10 years when animation technology advances. Also,
like Figment now.
Figment looks great. Figment looks fantastic. He doesn't look like he was made in like Blender in 2006
by the Pixar intern that they let go.
Yeah.
It's so bad though. It's great now. Like we've come all the way back.
Now, yeah.
I think we've all come all the way back on.
Right.
On Figment.
No, it's certainly wrapped back around. I wanted to ask you, Nathan, how do you feel if they were to replace the physical Hitch Hiking Ghosts with screens at the end? Do you agree with Dan where it's like overcomplicating it for the sake of just doing something new and making it worse?
Well, an arm moves. I don't really know why. Like it's not like saying like, oh my God, we've spent so much money on the Shaman of Songs, and like these parts are getting hard to make, and like we need to figure out like a way to make this work now. Like they do this. Like what are we talking about? Like
it's a turntable. Right. It literally is just going like this all day.
Yeah, it's not hard. It's fine. And what I would say is, you know, I would certainly not recommend them attempt what is done in Magic Kingdom.
Right. If they were to do it in a different way, completely different, like, I mean, obviously it'd still be a screen, but if they made it better, maybe I could see like, okay, this is fine. But the way it is at Magic Kingdom right now is not impressive.
Well, I mean, you could, here's the thing. I mean, if you take it away, and the concept is, I don't know, like that kind of new depth projection concept that they've been playing with, and
which I actually like. I think it works
and I
sometimes.
Can't really tell the difference. Fine. Like, what do I like? If it doesn't feel like a screen, like if they're good enough at that depth perception concept that you can kind of make me work it out, I don't really care.
And they now have some really great transparent screen tech, like you've seen in the Guardians preview, the queue of Guardians. And like now, like watching, if you have not yet, go watch the computer electronics show from 2024. It is nothing but 4K clear screens. It is crazy.
And if you want to do that, and I can still feel the depth, why not? I mean, but again, it's like, are we... Well, this goes.
Sure.
This takes a conversation that I think is also apt to talking about the busts moving in the library scene, because they've been doing tests, I think, in Magic Kingdom, right?
I think so.
On one on the top, they've been doing these weird projection things where they blink, and it's a digital mapping of and I kind of go like, I don't need a bus to blink. Like, I don't is this a way? Do we go back to this being like a corporate thing where it's like, look, and I kind of, so back in the day, this happens now a little bit, but like, any budget, we would reach summer for our school budget and the department budget, and they would say, look, man, we need to go ahead and get all the supplies we want now, because if we don't show that we've used this money, they're going to take it away. And there is a vibe to some of this stuff that has that feeling of, we've got to show that we're doing something. And right.
And we've got $35,000 left in the budget.
And it's not that they're going to do it forever, but it's just this idea of like, I cannot justify the R&D that I have done and want to patent if I can't figure out some dumb reason to use it. So if they're like, well, we're going to change the Hitch Hiking Ghosts. Why? Because we have this new technology, right? That's not really about the narrative or the Hitch Hiking Ghost. That's about, I need to make sure I have a job next year, and that they're going to continue funding this research.
Yeah, it's finance bro stuff. It's maddening to me.
But even not even finance bro stuff. It's tech bro stuff. It's R&D bro stuff. Like, it's that idea that and they've always done this in the sense of Imagineering and people surrounded in the theme park industry sort of doing science-y stuff, and that stuff ends up being turned into things that can be used for narratives. But I have no issue with that, but we're now starting to put the price tag first, opposed to the, okay, Walt wants this. How are we going to do it? And then science comes involved.
It was the idea first, and then the science. Now it's science first. Now the idea.
Yeah.
Yeah. I also, if they do a screen like they did that, like the famous people, you put a cube out. Now they figure out how to make that a full, section, so now it looks like they're there, it looks like they're in the whole thing, but it's this depth thing, so they could just leave Oogie Boogie all hooked up, and so they just have to move a panel, and that's done, bing bang boom. Like, I could totally see that being a decision. I honestly can't see them getting rid of Oogie Boogie, like, as that major investment they just made. So, but I could see them doing something like, these other animatronics, yada yada yada, we'll work Seamus and Phineas, because Gus is already in the graveyard, I think. Yeah, right at the end, right? He makes 2 appearances, doesn't he?
I mean, some people think he's technically a different ghost. Some people think he's the same guy. That's twins. The best part about the Haunted Mansion. It's up to you.
It's just like religion.
Just like the canonical,
we interpret the mansion like the Torah. It's just,
exactly.
We sit.
Yep, and there's all different kinds of schools.
And if you're rich, you
Speaking
really
of
know.
Interpreting
that's what Fiddler taught me. So.
There you go. Speaking of interpreting the mansion, let's interpret something big that's changed. We have not talked, and I think it's time now that you and I know you made a video about it, and I really want to know how it's aged, how you feel, what you think's going on. What is the definitive answer on the Hatbox Ghost in Walt Disney World? Is it as terrible a thing as I feel it is? I feel like it ruins the vibe. Also, he was broken when I went with my kids. He was also broken. Maddening. I think that this is awful. I think that and this is a finance bro, easy decision, makes it look like you're doing something, but doesn't honor whatsoever the story and the artistic purpose of this art piece. This is it's like going into the Mona Lisa and being like, let's add an eyebrow. She's been living without one for long enough. It's time.
It's not even like adding an eyebrow to the Mona Lisa. It's like putting a clown nose on the Mona Lisa. Dan. Okay, let's say that this is your tech bro.
Dallin, shots fired.
I was on record on the Bird website when they made this announcement saying, guys, let's hear them out. Let's see how it turns out. This could be...
Dan, Imagineering isn't dead. It's gonna be okay.
Is this where that started with you, Dan? Dan?
Yes.
My father?
100%.
Is this where this started with you? This was the first sort of coin flip that made you be like, hey, maybe Imagineering's not in the best spot right now.
Yeah. That was 100% it. Yeah. When they did that, I was like, oh,
this is bad.
What? It's bad. And now that it's implemented,
It's
we haven't Foolish Mortal
it's
really.
Still bad.
We have to cover the movie at some point, and Nathan will be great to go through the movie, the Muppets, and
we'll
do a whole thing.
But the idea that I've got to think about those movies anymore. Besides Muppets, I'll talk about Muppets all day long. But.
I was going to say, Muppets Haunted Mansion is the best Haunted Mansion media that's ever been
made.
Yeah,
it is really
but
good.
The idea that I've got to think about that movie anymore. It is. You'll pay me more that episode. I'll tell you that much. Yeah.
Sure. 100%.
That's my film criticism budget.
Short of the fan canon that we're currently working on about HEAMUS Box and HEAMUS, the evil multiverse brothers, the both sides of the force. If
are they?
I like how they're brothers, but they're also they're not variants. They're brothers, but they're from different universes.
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. Are they? Yeah. A very busy father.
Are they anchor beings, Dan? This is important to you now.
Arguably, they're anchor beings. Yeah. Hatbox is an anchor being. Ask Guillermo del Toro; he'll tell you. He's got one in his living room.
Hold on, 1 second. I want to talk for a second about the concept that Disney keeps doing here, which is, I think, over icing the cake, right? Like Hatbox Ghost, fun, unique. Guillermo's happy, nerds are happy, and then it goes. What? Well, this is also what I kind of call this Hatbox Ghost at Magic Kingdom.
Ooh, I like this. I like
this Hatbox Ghost is what I call marketing budget theme park money, right? This didn't come.
Yeah, snake eating its own tail.
Come out of right, and this is that over icing of the cake. It's that we're doing this one thing here, and you know what? Everyone bought Hatbox Ghost socks at the store, so now and then they start overthinking it, and then marketing says, all right, we've got a movie coming out. We're selling good on this merch, so now we're gonna do this thing, and this is.
Oh yeah, a robot, an AI decided, like an algorithm decided.
Yeah,
with Hatbox
this is a purely. It started as a decision for fans by fans, and then it became what this is, which is the marketing budget for this movie will pay for this thing, and that's it.
Yep. Which is what you see all the time. Every costume character you see in the parks is a result of a marketing budget from Disney Animation.
Oh, Marvel,
from Phineas
too.
and Ferb
Marvel
to Mushu.
All those Disney Plus shows.
Marvel especially. But I'm just saying, like, the stuff that you're super familiar with for the past 30 to 40 years has been, like, from Hercules, Mulan. Like, it's been an investment from the marketing budget at this huge billboard that is Disney World. And so, by and large, and even to the Hatbox Ghost, like, we have a new technology. We're patenting it. We need to use it so that we have application, and then we need to have it for the tax write-off or whatever, so Disney's very much known for these kinds of things happening. So
it's
100%,
so weird to me because put the Hatbox Ghost in, absolutely put him in Walt Disney World 100%. Why is he in the endless hallway? Why is he there? It doesn't make any sense.
Put him in the graveyard. Just put him in the graveyard.
Gosh darn Grand Hall, the banquet scene, the Grand Hallway.
Whatever.
The ballroom.
I remember even arguing back in the day that you just rip out the digital ghosts and turn the end into like a mausoleum of like a crypt of like skulls.
There's a
with
mausoleum
the
at the end of Haunted Mansion at Disney World.
Just extend the mausoleum.
I got you one better.
Exactly. Just have it be the Hatbox.
I got you one better. You put him in the Escher staircase scene, floating.
Yeah. I works better.
Weird.
I think that works better.
I know it's still at the beginning, but it's weird and different and fun. And
it's like 2 degrees of terrible because he's in this hallway scene, which is before he's supposed to be there. It's like, I don't understand why he's not. People are saying,
just don't do it, and just do something else.
Do something with more creativity.
They turn the chair into Professor Slughorn from the opening of Harry Potter 6, where he's like hiding as a chair. Like have it be a Transformer chair. Like have the thing have it stand up like
a man-eating chair. That's like the rolliest of
exactly.
That brings me to the
crazy and original.
The bat in the cage, in the bird cage, which is we're doing this thing again, which is design that I think there was a Mark Davis design, but here's a design. We're gonna do it. This feels fans for fans, right? And then
it's Disneyland. Disneyland is like the holy land. They know not to mess anything up there, and so they put the bat in the cage back. Sorry, continue. Nathan.
No, well, you're absolutely right. And it feels like if that gets popular 2 years from now, there's going to be a little bat in a cage, like like shoulder plush, and like like it's just how they think now.
Synergy.
And well, this is something I've always said too, which is the park in California is so pristine and thought through because that's where the boss goes. Like no one cares what's going on in Florida. That's for the Hicks. Like the boss and the board go to Disneyland. So that's why
they don't even go to California Adventure. They go to Disneyland.
Yeah, God.
They just go to Disneyland. Yeah. And it's so interesting because with the hyper inflated market of Christmas and Halloween at Disney World and Magic Kingdom, and also with the hyper dedication of super fans who just want everything to be left alone in Disneyland, it is staggering to me that Haunted Mansion Holiday doesn't open the first day of Halloween horror. I mean, Mickey's Not So Scary, and runs Christmas all the way through to the last night of Very Merry, because it is both. It's both parties.
100%.
It's like, what are you guys even doing now? Leave Disneyland alone. No one cares.
It's definitely a growing sentiment. Yeah.
Can I suggest my pitch for how you deal with this issue in the Magic Kingdom? This is my big thing, which is especially if they decide to put a Villain's Land behind. Okay. I don't want that Villain's Land, but if it's going to be there, we need to just take Liberty Square and make it Sleepy Hollow. Okay. You take out, because they already put about Crane in a window, like they're doing stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He's in the window. You take out Hall of Presidents, and you got yourself a half of the year, you have a Sleepy Hollow 4D show. And the other half of the year, you've got a Nightmare Before Christmas 4D show. Oh. And that way that takes care of that for Magic Kingdom. I don't. You're right. I don't know why they don't do it over there. I think it's because there's just.
Then we take all the Hall of Presidents robots and open up Orlando's first all-gay men's animatronic choir.
I'm going to put them on. My plan is because we're going to cut off the river, I'm going to put them on the boat, right? And so it's just President Boat.
President Boat.
No, you sell them to Universal so they can install them in all the ride vehicles of Kong as the drivers. You know what I mean? Oh, who's your driver? Oh, I got James Madison. Oh, cool.
Yeah, I got JFK. Let's be careful.
I got Billy. I got Bill Clinton. Yeah, he was playing a saxophone the whole goddamn time.
But I think there's ways of doing it. I think the reason you don't actually see it in the Magic Kingdom at all is because it's the vacation capital of the world, and it doesn't matter how people
more visitors.
They don't care.
But that being said, the park literally transforms during that season for the vacation capital of the world. And Jingle Cruise comes in. It's not insane. It's honestly, I feel like it was
somehow.
It would be like, even if they did it for a couple of years, it'd be like this thing to be like, all right, it's like we're bringing the Electric Main Street Parade to Disney World or Disney. You know what I mean? Like, it's like a big transfer, which they do all the time. Just transfer it.
Just move it across.
Right. And Hatbox Ghost stays in there when they transfer over to Holiday. They just put mistletoe on his head.
Yeah,
so, they could do the same thing here, I guess.
Because I've seen people online defend it like, oh, they can't put him in the attic because it's not stable up there. I don't think that's true. I don't know why that would be true. They do know
it's not a real attic, right?
It's stupid.
It's not.
No, what it is, just it was too expensive of a budget to do that versus sticking them in where they could, it was already half lit and,
But they had to build an entire door also with the whole lighting effect, which I think
Alan, they have a storage container full of doors out back. Building a door is the easiest thing to do.
They wouldn't have to build anything if they put him in the attic, though, is what I'm saying, which is kind of crazy to me. They just put some Hatbox around him.
Actually, I don't know about that because he would have to be on the other. He'd have to. The attic in Disneyland is different. It's bigger. Hatbox is almost on like a porch.
Yeah, he's outside
like an attic
of the attic,
porch in a weird way. Yeah, he's out and there's spaces there, but it would have required them to shut the ride down for a while and build something. It's not like, it's not, I think I do understand that it wasn't in the budget to do it, but then don't do it. Be like, okay, we'll wait for the budget.
Well, that's
don't be like, let's make the quick, easy decision.
That's the beauty that we're seeing right now, like we were just talking about earlier, but the Bride at Disneyland, they can just shut it down, put a barrier up and just put it there, as opposed to a Disney World where they wouldn't probably be able to do that.
It is weird to consider an overlay as a way of doing construction, but it's true. Yeah.
That's what they're using it for. Very much using it for this time through. Is they are absolutely using this overlay as time to improve props, build an entire dang queue in the back of the mansion. They're using it for sure.
I want more overlays. I'm a big believer in overlays. I want overlays on everything, honestly. Put Santa hats on Dumbo. You know what I mean? Like, I don't care.
Sure.
Like, I want it all. Like, truly. Like, give it to me.
October through December, you've got yourself a deal, Dan. Starting it in July is a bit of an overkill. But not this year, obviously. That's a special case this year. But just in general, I think Haunted Mansion Holiday creeping earlier and earlier into the year is starting to get worrisome.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm interested to see the first D23 I ever went to, I think. Oh, no, the second one. Maybe it was the first one. They reopened Fantasmic, and like as part of the parks panel, I got to go see Fantasmic, as a perk. Maybe it was the second one or whatnot. So I'm wondering, but no, it can't happen because they bust you. They'll have to it's oh my God, it's going to be such a nightmare. Dude, you have to get up at 4 a.m.
I'm not getting up at 4 a.m. Are you joking? No, I don't care about any. I could give less of a crap about any piece of merchandise that requires me to wake up at 4 a.m. I have one Haunted Mansion Spirit jersey. I think fan-made, don't tell Disney I said this, but I think fan-made merchandise is far superior than official Disney merchandise. This wasn't made by Disney.
That's fair.
This was made by a talented sculptor who sent this to me, and this is my favorite piece of Haunted Mansion merch.
He is currently holding a candle, man, for the audio listeners.
Yeah, a wax candle man from the Haunted Mansion.
He's holding a candle Barbie.
He's more. I'm waxing poetic about my Candleman now. The one in the Haunted Mansion Holiday is stubbier and shorter than this one for some reason. I don't know why. This is based off of the concept art though.
This is made by Randy Relics.
Yeah, Radley.
Is that his name?
It could be Radley.
Radley.
Yeah, Relics.
Randy Relics.
Randy Relics is his
incredible
evil brother from another multiverse.
Yes,
right. It's his Seamus,
or he's
Radley Relics. He makes
yeah.
amazing Haunted Mansion props.
He might be HEAMUS. That's true. Yeah, that might be HEAMUS. Any other mansion hot
tops
that like you're aware of?
Any other hot tops from the mansion? I think that should be it for the foreseeable future, unless something else changes. But I really do think the Hatbox Ghost in Orlando using Jared Leto money. That's why it's there. And then in Anaheim, I think we've seen the mansion definitely transform very drastically over the past 5 years. So I think they're probably going to move on from it after this pass through, but I could always be wrong.
It feels like a nice evergreen upgrade. Yeah. It really feels like they'll be like, all right, we're good here
for a minute. Until the next film comes out. Put another Hatbox Ghost in at a later scene. Just have 2 of them.
3, 4.
Why not? Have 3.
Gay man's choir of Hatbox Ghosts. Whatever it takes.
Have them all singing.
Yeah.
Yep. Oh my goodness. Well, here on Fun, we always like to ask our guests at the end of each episode. That's you, Dallin. You're the guest. What you're up to, what you're doing for fun these days right now. I right now have literally consumed like overnight a series on Netflix called Dirty Pop about Orlando being the home of Backstreet Boys and NSYNC and how those guys worked at the parks. I think like the older one from Kevin or whatever from Backstreet Boys was like worked on the backlot tour. You know what I mean? And he was like on break. He's got the call. He's like, "Hey man, we need a guy who can harmonize. Get down here."
Get down here. And now they're in Deadpool 3.
It's wild. Right. And so it's bananas and it's terrifying. And like, I was watching a documentary that I thought was going to go in a very different direction, but just only focused on his crimes, on his like financial crimes. And I was like, has anyone opened their eyes and looked at all these pop boys and their incredible toxic behavior and wondered where they've, the trauma that they're like hiding and running from? This guy was a predator. Holy
allegedly.
Smokes. Anyway, that's what I'm doing for fun.
Allegedly. I'm going to save you.
Allegedly. Well, they address it. They address it in the documentary. So they allege it. But then they walked right by it and be like, "Hey, you wouldn't believe what kind of financial crimes this guy got into." And it's like, that's the least interesting part about what you're about to tell me, sir. But they use AI in it, so fair warning, you might hate that. They have a disclaimer that I didn't read. Nathan, what are you doing for fun?
Just the other day, I downloaded a very new game that has been released for Nintendo Switch called Thank Goodness You're Here. It is a game. If you liked the Untitled Goose Game, some of the guys that did that have done this game as well. And Thank Goodness You're Here. It takes place in a northern England town, and you show up as this tiny little man that kind of has a lemon for a head. Everything is drawn in kind of absurd styles. And you're supposed to meet with the mayor, but the mayor doesn't seem to be around. And so you walk around this English town and you run into people and they go, "Oh, thank goodness you're here." And then you help them with whatever they're doing. So I've played it for,
Seamus.
I played it for pretty much, I played it for about an hour so
Seamus.
far, and I have crashed through a couple buildings. I have been thrown through. I have went inside of a piece of steak and heard the dark secrets of ghosts. I have. I went into a grocery that was infested with rats, and I had to go and I got into the secret rat club because there's no concept of your size. You can just walk into a room and then all of a sudden you're much tinier or bigger. And yeah, so it's just an absolute absurdist kind of British humor.
Thank goodness you're here.
It stars one Matt Berry as a person in the game.
Wow.
And so it's been an absolute blast, and I would recommend it to anyone. It is rated M too, which is fun because I've not gotten anything super naughty yet, but it has no issue. To get people to talk to you, you have to kick them or hit them. And they don't really notice it. They just start talking to you. So there's,
I mean, you got Matt Berry in the game. It's you gotta throw a couple swear words in there.
Yeah. So that would be my recommendation for anyone who's looking for some fun.
Nice.
Ooh, I like that. That sounds fun. Dallin, what are you doing for fun?
I got D23 next week, which is going to be fun. But, just for regular non-Disney related fun, me and my wife, Dan, you were talking about binging on Netflix series. We're actually binging. She's seen this before, but I haven't. Watching the show Supernatural for the very first time. So we're
what's it like with those two hot
We're following the Winchesters around. It's so fun.
Is that what their names are?
The Winchester brothers. Yeah, it's so interesting to me because they travel around the U.S. in their car, just in their '67 Chevy Impala. But they'll be in like New Jersey, and they'll get a call. They'll be like, "Hey, we got a ghost down in New Mexico," and they're like, "We'll be there." And it's like 45 minutes later, they're in New Mexico. They're like, "Dang, good thing we got here in time." Like, they go all over the U.S. in like couple hours. It's great, but I'm loving Supernatural.
Amazing.
It's a really good show. We're on season 6 currently. Check it out if you got the time.
Whoa, Supernatural. That's awesome. What's your favorite monster they fought?
Oh man, see, it's funny because they start with season 1 and they're just fighting different monsters. You got Monster of the Week. They'll fight a Wendigo. They'll fight a shapeshifter. But then you get into later seasons and it's like, now we have to kill God. So it's a bit of a power. The power levels go up.
Stakes have been raised.
I love it.
I like because
it's Charmed did the same thing.
In season 1, they obviously had a higher budget. So in later seasons, it's just monsters that kind of look like humans with, maybe he'll have, some contacts in or something. But in season 1, they fight a Wendigo, and it's a full-sized Wendigo puppet that they use, like a gangly looking, like almost like a horror movie looking, like huge, probably 9 foot tall puppet that they use for the creature, and it looks amazing. Wow. So that's probably my favorite.
Wow. Okay. Well, when to go?
When you go? Yeah.
Dallin.
Thank you.
Go, Dallin.
All right. This was fun.
Well, this has been fun. Dallin, where do people find? People know where to find you, but tell people where to find you. People know.
You can find me at youtube.com. Offhand Disney is my channel name. I talk about the Haunted Mansion. I talk about the People Mover, and I talk about living with the land only. That's the only topics I'll cover on my channel. No, I'll talk about news. I'll talk about history.
More or less.
I'll talk about Epcot. I'll talk about Muppets, Figment, everything you can possibly think of for the old school Disney nerds. Twitter.
Yeah, good old Dallin.
Twitter and Instagram, Offhand Disney also. This next week should be, I don't know when you're going to have this up, but we should be deep into the D23 coverage by then. So looking forward to it.
Yeah. When you listen to this, make sure to listen back. I'm sure you already listened to Dallin's D23 coverage, but it was great. Here, actually, let me just flip it on that. Dallin, awesome D23 coverage, man. You put out some really great stuff.
Those new announcements were
some spicy things.
Announcements were kind of underwunging, wouldn't you say, Dan and Nathan?
I don't know about that.
You think were you whelmed?
I felt no emotion.
Zero. Oh.
I'm a theme park sociopath now.
I did think it was strange that Disney bought the Tomb Raider franchise and they're just doing that instead of Indiana Jones and Animal Kingdom. But what are you going to do?
I mean, it's fine. I'm excited for a Lara Croft attraction, especially Animal Kingdom. I wonder how they're going to tie that in.
And they keep the dinosaurs because Lara Croft has fought dinosaurs.
Weirdly, they're just Hatboxing Ghost Lara Croft. They're just putting her awkwardly in.
Right. Yo, I would just put the Hatbox Ghost in Dinosaur for all I care.
I mean, you got the budget.
4 or 5
if they got the budget for it.
You got the budget. If you're renovating the space, might as well.
Out, you have to.
What about now? Wait a minute. What about Dinosaur with hat holding box in mouth? Hatbox Rex. Are we into this?
If they were to make a Pepper's Ghost Tyrannosaurus Rex, or I guess it'd be some other dinosaur because it's the time period, Carnotaurus, with a hat and a grin, holding the little hat box in his cheeky little hands with a tiny little T-Rex head that disappeared off his head and reappeared in his hat box, I would be so happy. That would be amazing. That'd be so absurd. I would be in love.
Well, it's happened. We already know. So we've watched D23.
Right. Yeah, we just haven't seen it
I rebuke both of your ideas, and instead I say Fozzie Bear, Hatbox Ghost, and Dinosaur.
Yeah, it makes sense. They have the budget.
They have the budget. It's there. Well, hey, it's been fun. Thanks for listening to my podcast. Nathan, the fine purveyor of the Rat Castle podcast. The home of all
if you want to if you want a rated R version of the Disney news, you can come over to Rat Castle, which is a progressive podcast, a progressive chat on theme park news without the pixie dust. So it's myself and former guest of this show, Dave Cobb, and several other fun former cast members and influencers who are a blast to talk about, and it's a good time.
Nice. And at the end of every episode, they dab.
We don't do that. That's just
well, we do that. We do that here, though, right?
For sure.
Is that
we got Nathan to dab?
Did we do it? Is that? Let's just end on a dab. I know it's not good for audio. So here's what we're going to do.
End on the.
No, you can't. You got to hurry back.
It's a little spiritual. It's a spiritual.
We're going to hurry back, and then we're going to dab. Hurry back.
Hurry back. Hurry back.
Hurry back.
Hurry back.
Hurry back.
This has been a production of 710 Media.